Good morning from the heavenly Shangri-La up here in the rice terraces of Maligcong, and also welcome back to my channel. And after my lovely time here at Vilma's homestay, which is conveniently located right on the rim of the largest and oldest mountainside rice terraces in the world, and that helped me to re-energize myself for today's epic ride. So let's take a last look over the rice terraces before I ride down to the city of Bontoc on the floor of the Chico River Valley, and from there to Cervantes and crossing over the Bessang Pass and towards the city of San Fernando on the west coast of Luzon, in the province of La Union.
Good morning, and it's going down.
But to get a clearer picture, let's take a quick look at the map of today's journey. From here I will traverse into Bontoc town and merge into the Halsema Highway and onwards to the Nakagang Junction. At the Nakagang Junction I will leave the Halsema Highway for road number 205, and continue on the Tagudin-Cervantes-Sabangan Road to Bauku and Tadian until I reach the town of Cervantes. Then from Cervantes I will cross the mighty Bessang Pass into the Suyo Valley and ride further to Liptong, where I will then turn left into the MacArthur Highway until I reach my final destination for today, which is in the city of San Fernando in the province of La Union. And as this will be another amazingly long and challenging ride from the mountain province into Ilocos Sur, and from there climbing up the much-feared Bessang Pass, and then down again to La Union on the west coast of Luzon, where the town of San Fernando is located. You might just grab some chips and sit back enjoying the ride that passes through one of the most unforgettable and beautiful mountains and valleys sites of this part of northern Luzon. For me to have to leave behind this rice cultivating community of Maligcong is no easy task, as this place really felt like a Shangri-La to me. As I was yesterday walking the Maligcong village trio over the Rice Terrace Trail from here in Favarey to Fangura and further on to Favarey where no cars can go, I suddenly started to realize that out there and in the middle of nowhere, these people are living the most modest lives I ever have seen in my life. Not only is it a long walk away from the road, but it is also quite a challenging one if you are not used to this kind of trail. And so at first, it was really a bit nerve-wracking for me to balance myself over the narrow trail that is leading over the solid concrete footpath walls that is separating each parcel. And with no handholds and only 50 centimeters of width, it was a careful walk between water-filled rice paddies on one side and a steep drop to the next lower terrace on the other side. And this was the only way linking the three villages together to the outside world, with the village of Favarey that seems to be the most cut-off village of these three to be the nicest one, as it is sitting on a small elevated hill and overlooking the terraces with a 360-degree view, but without any road access for cars at all. Furthermore, the village of Favarey is very special indeed, because it is centered by three colossal and sacred pine trees which are revered by the locals and said to be protecting the village. Moreover, the entire village is built onto its cone-shaped hill slopes, and located in the middle of the Maligcong rice terraces, with houses that are made from pinewood planks and thin sheets of aluminium, and crisscrossed by a labyrinth-style pathway between them. And trust me, getting lost here inside these mazes is more than easy, but luckily the friendly people were glad to show me the way back out of the village, so that I could return safely on the trail back to Favarey where my homestay was located. And all this experience made me feel that the time here is really crawling on a very slow time frame, as I could see that the quaint two villages out in the middle of the rice terraces are still remaining reticent to much of the modern-day developments, and don't have much interest in following the sorts of big business establishments which other places lusting for. And I think that because of this lack of modern-day luxuries, these places are still sustaining their charm and its lush environment, as well as their unique culture and their heritage over all these years, and I hope that they can keep their identities for many more centuries to come. Although I must admit that to maintain these terraces involves very hard labor work by the natives who work here. I mean, just think about it, these terraces here were all hand-carved out of the mountains by the Ifugo ancestors over the past 2,000 years, and that all without any engineering, or modern hydraulic and hydrology supporting systems, nor any of the agricultural forestry guidebooks of which today's generation would be lost without it. And despite lacking all of this, They still were able to miraculously transform the very harsh and steep terrain, and including an irrigation system that is even as of today still successfully channeling the water from the mountain springs and waterways into the downhill canals, and watering each and every single terrace into a productive rice fields by using just the basic tools, and thereby demonstrating their remarkable engineering skills that is still in use as I speak. It is just stunning when I see these folks maintaining their fields up into their high ages without complaining much. And when I think that the normal farmers of today wouldn't be able to do their work without some sort of mechanical help. These natives here are just people of another kind, and I think it is because they treasure their simple way of life, and hold true to their old traditions that keeps the quintessential balance between man and nature in an almost perfect harmony, which should be a general guideline for the common folks on how to live life happy and successfully. And as I am now passing through the city of Bontoc, let me talk about this place a bit, of which I think that it is unfortunately but certainly overlooked as a holiday destination by many tourists. Perhaps because it is situated too near to the famous town of Sagada, which is well known for its hanging coffins. But Bontoc actually has one of the richest and well-preserved cultures here in the mountain province, as well as the Bontoc Museum, where you can find the replica of an Igorot village. Moreover, Bontoc is also known for its Langai Festival, which is an annual festival that is held every March or April, and is promoting the fellowship and coming together to celebrate the bountiful of the harvest and to share the happiness, peace and friendship under the locals with music, dance, parade and the Caneo, which is a sacred cultural practice performed by the Igorots, indigenous people here in the northern parts of the Philippines. I also learned that the Igorot natives were one of the only tribes that was spared during the Spanish conquest due to the Igorot warrior head-hunting ancestors who fought vigorously to protect the region and its people. And so after successfully defeating the Spanish conquerors, the Caneo was initiated by the elders of the tribe, which is the word for ceremony to demonstrated their thanksgiving to the god of the Igorots, who is Adi Kaila, a god who is watching over the Igorot warriors as well as protecting their beloved land. So a Caneo is a kind of a religious pagan feast during which the natives offer pigs, chickens, and buffaloes as forms of thanksgiving and offerings to their god. Furthermore, the Igorots of Bontoc believe in a system that is centered on a hierarchy of spirits. It is said that some of the spirits even taught the Bontoc people their arts and skills, including on how to successfully irrigate their land. The Igorots here also believe in the Anito, which is the spirits of the dead who are omnipresent and must be constantly consoled. And so this indigenous religion here has been preserved for many centuries, and is still followed up as of today. I am now on the stretch from Nakagang Junction to the town of Cervantes, and I will do this on a fly, as I already covered much of it in my episode number 6, when I was riding from Sagada to Vigan City on the Quirino Skyline Highway.
Hello. Huh?
Okay.
Good day. Good morning. So many traffic today. Ay, ay, ay. That's the outing. Is it Chico? Hello. That was a tough one.
But here we go, and as I am entering Baco now, it is noteworthy to mention that also Baco was one of several municipalities in the mountain province which would have been flooded alongside Bontoc, Sabangan, Sadanga, Sagada, as well as parts of the municipality of Barlig, and all by the planned Chico River Dam project during the Marcos dictatorship. Luckily, and only due to the resilience by the indigenous peoples of the Kalinga province and the mountain province, resisting this project with their lives until the murder of the outspoken opposition leader Makiling Dulag, which made the project so bloody unpopular that it was finally shelved in the 1980s. By now you might have noticed that I have already entered the province of Ilocos Sur, with its capital in Vigan City, and Candon being the most populous city of this province. The province is bordered by Ilocos Norte and Abra to the north, the mountain province to the east from where I just arrived, Benguet to the south, and La Union, where I am heading next, is situated on the coast of the South China Sea to the west. Before the Spanish arrived, the coastal plains northwest of Luzon, from Banguay to Namakbacan, were known as Ilocos. This region was then called by the ancient name of Samtoy, and stretched from the western Philippine Sea to the northern Cordilleras. The western side was sandy, while the eastern side near the mountains is rocky, and that was leaving only a narrow strip of cultivable plainland for the farmers. And so, as the population grew and the need for land made the people thrifty, they started to build their villages near small bays and coves that were called luk, in the local dialect. These coastal inhabitants were then known as the Ilocos, which means, the lowlanders, as they came from the land that is situated in the lower parts of the province. Later in the Middle Ages, the Spanish conquistador Juan de Salcedo then founded Ilocos Sur, to be exactly, it was in the year of 1572. And he included parts of Abra and the upper half of present-day La Union, until it was split in the year of 1917 from the south, and which are now called Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur, respectively. The Augustinian missionaries then followed and evangelized almost the whole region and establishing parishes and churches all over the places, with many of these churches are still standing and being in use as of today. And then in the year of 1758, Vigan became the seat of the Archdiocese of Nueva Segovia, and so the Ilocos region was a thriving hub during the Spanish colonial era, and familiar places that were well liked by the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Malay traders. Later in the years of 1762 to 63, the Ilocos revolt started. They are better known as the Silangs Revolt. And it was aimed at the outsiders and the alcalde mayor of Vigan. After that, Diego Silang, who was a Filipino revolutionary leader, was assassinated on Saturday the 28th of May in the year of 1763, because he allied with the British forces to overthrow the Spanish rulers here in the northern parts of the Philippines, and tried to establish an independent Ilocano state. His wife Maria Josefa Gabriela then continued the fight, until her capture and execution by hanging on Tuesday the 20th of September in the same year. Then over 100 years later, on Friday the 25th of March in the year of 1898, Isabelo Abaya, a member of the Espiritu de Candon, which was a revolutionary group in Candon, drove away the Spaniards from their town, and that was the beginning of the Candon Uprising. They then raised the red flag in the town plaza as a response to the many Spanish abuses and oppression and established a revolutionary government. The Spaniards of course sent in their troops to reoccupy the town of Candon, and captured most of the leaders and participants in the uprising, and then cold-heartedly executed them. So and now, since we know a bit more about the province of Ilocos Sur, let me continue to climb up the Cervantes Valley to the Bessang Pass. A route that is loved and feared by many drivers and passengers as well. The road leading over the Bessang Pass and down into the Suyo Valley is not just any mountain pass road. It is actually a road that comes with a hell of a lot of history and that is leading through a stunning nature, and that leaves an indelible mark on everyone who is riding it. It is also located in one of the most picturesque region of the Ilocos province, and it is a landmark that is renowned for its stunning vistas, lush greenery including deep valleys, steep gorges and a lot of dangerous landslides, but hey, a little danger adds to the excitement, don't you also think so? But jokes aside, as we can see already now, the panoramic views of the surrounding mountains and valleys making it not only an ideal spot for photography enthusiasts and nature lovers, but also a dream for anyone on a motorcycle like me, and being able to enjoy the twisty road with hardly any cars and with a concrete surface that is almost in a perfect condition. Moreover, this area also provides a variety of hiking trails that are very suitable for many different skill levels, and whether one is seeking a simple walk among the lush forest, or a more difficult hike up the rocks, the area here has it almost all. And the many different choices of trails offer a notable experience for nearly everyone who likes mountainous terrain with fresh air and natural sounds. That is also creating the perfect setting for exploration of diverse local plants and unique animals to this region. Furthermore, I learned that the surrounding communities often celebrate local festivities that reflect the traditions of the Ilocano people here in this area. And so the interaction with the local people is quite welcoming up here and can provide knowledgeable insights into their way of life, and making your visit even more enriching. So whether you're an adventure seeker or a history buff who loves nature the same as me, the Bessang Pass and its vast natural park is the perfect destination that promises to leave a lasting memory. And as some consider the more than 45-kilometer long stretch from Cervantes to Suyo, that is topping out at 1,600 meters above sea level, when having reached the top of the Bessang Pass, has been said to be one of the most scenic and beautiful road the Philippines has to offer. And besides the unbelievable mesmerizing beauty all around me, I have been told that the Bessang Pass also holds its historical significance too, as it was a strategic location during the World War II that was guarding the Ifugao-Benguet-Vizcaya borders, which adds a layer of deep-reaching depth to its natural beauty and scenic charm too. I learned that the Bessang Pass was ground zero to the Battle of Bessang, which took place during the Second World War, and lasted some 157 days. To be precise, the battle started on Tuesday the 9th of January and ended on Friday the 15th of June in the year of 1945. The victory at the Bessang Pass was one of the greatest victories in the Philippine history, as the Filipino guerrillas fought alongside the United States Army forces in the Philippines, which was commanded by then Colonel Russell W. Volkman, and fighting against the Japanese Imperial forces of their Tiger Division, which was commanded by then Lieutenant General Yoshiharu Ozaki and General Tamatuki Yamashita. It is also important to mention that the United States Armed Forces in the Philippines was composed of 5 infantry regiments and a field artillery battalion of 20,000 officers who were all Filipinos except for the 5 American officers. And one of the American officer was Colonel Russell Volkman, who was the commanding officer. And so it is needless to say that the troops bore the full brunt of the fighting and sustaining over 2,000 casualties, including the more than 600 of the brave soldiers that got killed during the Battle of the Bessang Pass.
Some big oaks here in the road. Look at that view.
As you can see here, these huge landslides are frequently resulting in closures of more often both of the road lanes, particularly during the rainy season, and causing significant inconvenience to motorists here on the Tagudin-Cervantes Road, as we would have only two options. Either wait for the road to be cleared or turn back to my starting point. Luckily so far I didn't encounter any road closures because of landslides, so I keep my fingers crossed.
That's a rough road. That was the road up there, where we came from. Holy moly.
I am now entering the municipality of Suyo, and it is said that the earliest inhabitants here in Suyo were staying on the river banks and at the foot of their surrounding hills and mountains. The original inhabitants of Suyo were mostly engaged in natural trade or barter, just like most of the highland communities. Furthermore, in the pre-colonial period, there was no concept of socio-political territorial boundaries, so they didn't have an idea of private land ownership. And what is very interesting is that until today they still practice their group sharing of resources through their community feasting called gamal, peshet or kanya. I learned that Suyo's pre-generational society was naturally endowed with abundance and natural beauty, as it was a land of wealth and honey, a mountain haven for all seafarers and travelers to dwell and take refuge, or replenish their ships with goods for an upcoming long and hard journey to the open seas. Then the colonization of Suyo and the whole of the Ambarayan River Valley started only 80 years after the colonization of the Philippine archipelago. And that was by the Portuguese navigator named Ferdinand Magellan in the year of 1521. Then many of the Spanish conquistadores, starting from Juan de Salcedo to Admiral Pedro Duran de Montfort and Lieutenant Colonel Guillermo Galvey, all of them made various military expeditions in the whole area of the Ambarayan River Valley areas, as well as reaching the interior river mountain valley here in Suyo.
Hello. Unbelievable.
Now to give you a bit an idea of this road I am driving here for the last several hours, which is called the Tagudin-Cervantes-Sabangan Road, or also known as the Mountain Province to Ilocos Sur Road, or the Bessang Pass Road, and is signed as the National Route Number 205. This road starts at the junction of the Halsema Highway, which is known as the Nakagang Junction, which is at its eastern terminus. It passes throughout the remaining towns like Baco and Tadian in the Mountain Province, before entering to the Ilocos Sur Province, and is characterized by its numerous hairpin curves, turn pins and steep portions, and that is particularly true on the Cervantes side, as well as along the mountainous route within the Cordillera Mountains. Along its 100 kilometers, it provides an access to the Bessang Pass Natural Monument, which we just passed and which is the highest elevation of the road, before coming down to the lowlands of the province and ending at the junction of the Manila North Road, which is also known as the MacArthur Highway and located at the west coast in Tagudin. Arriving now in the barangay of Manadon, which is the most interior barangay of the Suyo municipality, and according to the stories told by the elders, Manadon got its name from a hot spring that was found at Manadon proper. I learned that the agriculture is the main livelihood here in Manadon, with tiger grass broom making, which I noticed very well along the road, being a primary activity here in this region. Besides the brooms, the locals also produce root crops like gabi, ginger, and sweet potato, and over the past 50 years, bananas were the leading crop. But unfortunately a disease devastated almost their entire production. And so they now aiming to become the top rambutan producer within the next 5 to 10 years due to its favorable climate for the rambutan fruits. Moreover, Manadon is also the home of the gigantic river stones, which has become a scenic attraction for many visitors that are coming and passing by in this area.
About these villages here in the mountains. You must have such a tough life. they're doing brooms here. That's what I mean, the view is so amazing, the road is so amazing. I don't know when to stop the video. I could go on and on and on. Like every corner is another surprise. Look at this village at the mountain slopes up there. It's similar to what we just passed now. Oh! Look up. Are these huge rocks? Is nobody wondering from where they are coming? I don't know. Let's continue.
Entering now Suyo proper, which during the later part of the Spanish regime in the Philippines, groups of people from the mountain province came and settled here in the town that is now called Suyo. And in the year of 1872, the Spaniards organized the settlement into a rancheria. And in the year of 1922 it was turned into a township by the Americans, which then again was changed into a municipal district at a later stage. Then in the early part of the 1980s, the Communist Party of the Philippines through its armed group, which was called the New People's Army, started to launch its expansion efforts and armed struggle into the interior towns of the Ilocos Sur province, and so the town of Suyo has become a stronghold of the enemy forces. The municipality of Suyo suffered devastation and ill effects brought about by this insurgency problems, as bloody encounters between the government troops and the communist terrorists occurred on a daily basis and reaching far into the remotest part of the town. But luckily as of today the insurgency has virtually ceased and the people are again enjoying a peaceful and progressive life here in the community. And here I am entering Cabugao, which they say was in the beginning only a place of wilderness with thick forest and where peaceful nomads roamed and hunted. On these occasional visits, the hunters noticed the fertile and flatlands that could be tilled, and they decided to stay, and so they became the first settlers here in this area. I already reached the lowlands of Bitalag and Rizal here in Tagudin, which according to historical documents was founded sometimes in January in the year of 1586, by the Spanish conquistador Juan de Salcedo, together with his Augustinian missionaries, who started to move northward from Manila, some 14 years earlier. It is also mentioned that the Chinese and the Japanese already had ships docking here during that time, so they could barter gold in Tagudin. Moreover, it is also the home to the first sundials constructed here in the Philippines sometimes between 1841 to 1848, by Father Juan Sorala, with one to be placed at the town plaza and the other at the back of the St. Augustine Parish Church.
You want to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon. Yeah. That's the international one. You want the country too? It's okay? Okay. Thank you.
Entering now the province of La Union, which is well known for its picturesque coastal towns as well as for its pristine beaches and some of the more popular surfing spots here on the west coast of northern Luzon. The province is rich in natural and cultural attractions and offering activities such as red clay pottery, grape picking, loom weaving, and pilgrimages that are combined with ecotourism to historic churches and beautiful waterfalls. According to the historian William Henry Scott, La Union served as a significant trading hub, especially for the Igorot gold, but also for their own local gold that was mined in this area. The trade route, known as the Barangay-Tunglo-Bontoc path, connected the southwestern Cordillera with the lowlands, and establishing Barangay and Agu as prominent and highly successful commercial centers. This trade network linked La Union to the already busy maritime routes across the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, and facilitating trade with the Tagalog, the Chinese, and the Japanese, and exchanging a wide variety of goods that included porcelain, silk, cotton, beeswax, honey, gemstones, beads, precious minerals, gold, and locally crafted Bernese stoneware jars. I am now arriving in the municipality of Bacnotan, which was once a vast wilderness inhabited by natives with a rudimentary form of government, and which has a rich history. Historical accounts suggest that the area was at one time under the rule of a despotic chieftain who exercised absolute control over his constituents. During his reign, any disobedience to his directives resulted in severe flogging. Eventually, and after several years of tyrannical rule, the people revolted and overthrew him. The town's history is also marked by the heroic deeds of individuals who fought, bled, and died for their native land. Notably, at the turn of the century during the Spanish-American War, and Dumarang, which is now known as Quirino, was a scene of significant carnage and plunder. And as I am now a short distance ahead of my final destination for today, which is San Fernando, and after a long and exciting ride I will be arriving there in no time. So let's talk a bit about the rich history of this place that is called San Fernando. The place can be traced back to its early day as a settlement of the Samtoy Ilocano community, that was mainly situated along the coastal shores and its riverbanks. This area was part of the northern section of Cabalon, where these communities still practiced animistic beliefs, which is a belief that is considering objects, places, and creatures are possessing a distinct and for their faith an important spiritual essence. Moreover, they were also well known for their successful gold mining abilities, their farming and wide-reaching seafaring knowledge, as well as engaging in prosperous trade with the neighboring groups, including the Pangasinons, the Igorots, the Chinese, the Malays, and the Japanese. Then sometimes later, on a hot and humid summer day in June of 1572, the Spanish conquistador Juan de Salcedo arrived here in San Fernando after successfully pacifying the native and Japanese settlers down south in Agu, which he had named El Porta de Japón due to Agu's status as a long-standing Japanese trading post. And upon reaching San Fernando, Salcedo encountered the natives and demanded tribute for the Queen of Spain. However, the natives requested time to gather the tribute from the mountains, but unfortunately for Salcedo, they never returned. And so Salcedo then continued empty-handed northwards and ultimately establishing the city of Vigan as the center of Spanish governance and influence here in the northern parts of Luzon, where the efforts to convert the natives into Christianity successfully began. And on this interesting historical note, I will also end my video for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and I am looking forward to see you back in my next part, when I will explore the city of San Fernando. So don't miss it, and cheers to all of you, and looking forward to meeting you again in my next upcoming episode, which is the 14th episode of this season.